Hello everybody, welcome back to another tutorial. So we are continuing on our how to make an avatar series, and as promised this week we are covering toggles. If you have the AV3 auto toggle creator thing, let me see if I can pull it up just in case you don't remember. But yeah, if you have that, then that is what this tutorial is going to be covering. It is a tool that is $10 for the base version. I think it's like 15 or 20 for the supporter version, which has some extra features. I'm going to be using the base version today because I don't have the higher version. I think the main difference right now is, let me get it pulled up. Hue shift. Sorry, couldn't remember what it's called. So that is what today's tutorial is going to be for, is how to create toggles using this add-on. It's something that I highly recommend. Saves a lot of time in Unity making animations for your toggles. I bought it ages ago and I haven't regretted it ever since. So there are a lot more fancy things that you can do with this add-on for your toggles. Unfortunately, I'm not very skilled with Unity, so this is going to be just the basics, you know, kind of the same thing like the previous toggle tutorial, the on-off, either or and matte swaps. This basic version does not include an auto hue shift, but if you get their higher version, which is, I just checked, $20, it does include an auto hue shift creator, which is also a massive lifesaver. It comes with more things than that, but that's primarily the biggest difference that I can see. If you do not have this AV3 Creator and you're wanting to learn to make toggles, please see the previous tutorial that was posted just before this one. They should be releasing on the same day, but go double check part 7.1, and that's how you make toggles without this. So the OG way. In that tutorial, I covered the same things, on, off, either or hue shifts, as well as a matte swap, but I don't remember how to do multiple matte swaps the old way, so I didn't get to cover that in that tutorial because I don't feel comfortable teaching you guys on something that I'm not super familiar with, but on this tutorial I will cover how to do multiple matte swaps since I'm very used to using this tool. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. And by the way, I will try to keep this tutorial short, but since there are multiple ways of doing toggles, it might run closer to that 45-minute mark, so I apologize in advance. But let's go ahead and get started. So here is the tool. If you need to know who it's by or what it looks like, it's called AB3 Creator. It's by Rafa. Like I said, highly recommend it. $10 for the base version. It has all these different things that he's constantly working on, more features. There's the supporter version, which has the hue shift creator, and again, they have a few more things that they're working on adding always, and you can join their server to keep track of what they're wanting to add. But it is a tool that I absolutely swear by. It's saved me a long time. Toggles take a very long time. Unity is what takes, I feel like, the most time. I feel like the small detail work of appearance and like weight painting and stuff is what happens in Blender, and then the technicalities of all the cool toggles, the color changes, the matte swaps, the sparkles, the effects, everything else that makes an avatar happens in Unity. And this is where avatar creation, I feel like, can get really complicated. On my most recent avatar, Nolan, my male model that I made, I recorded myself making all of his bones and materials and toggles for my boyfriend Phoenix, because he's wanting to eventually start helping me with Unity work. Toggles and bones alone took about 4 to 5 hours for him. So yeah. This is where things can get complicated, and that was with this tool. So I didn't have to sit there and like hand make animations. Granted, he has a lot of toggles on him. He's not near as simple as this avatar is. So there was a lot that I was adding onto him, but that is a big reason why I recommend this tool, is it took me that long still with a tool that does a lot of the stuff for me. But there's still a lot of technical work that I had to do to go into it and double check everything, make sure it was working, set it all up. So I highly recommend this tool. It's a massive lifesaver. I would not be able to put out avatars near as often as I do, which is not very often already, without this tool. So yeah, but I will say I think there is a way to make dissolve toggles with this tool, but I don't know it myself. Let me see if I can find. Okay, yeah, Killinger, if I'm saying his name correctly. They're in Rafa's server. I have asked them about like, hey, do you know how to? Because I've been following their tutorial. Like, do you know how to do other like the dissolve toggles and stuff? Does he not have? There's a lot of games. Do you not? Am I on the? Okay. He's not like a primary like tutorial channel, but he is how I learned how to do a lot of this. I believe it's this one, this parameter driver, how to make triangle toggles. So if you come to his channel, you can look at this, and as you can see there on that short, it shows you how to do dissolve toggles using this tool. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. I haven't quite figured it out myself. I've only like quickly glanced over the video. So we won't be doing dissolve toggles today, but we will be doing radial toggles, which is what most of my avatars have. So like you can do everything on radial. But anyways, we'll get into it. So I'm gonna start like as if you didn't watch the other video. If you're ever animating on your avatar, you always want to make a duplicate, right? Because we don't want that. If you do animate on your original, it can break it. But thankfully with this tool, you don't have to make a duplicate. So I'm going to go ahead and delete her. I'm also going to delete all of this. So I'm going to pretend like we don't have an FX. We don't have a main menu. We don't have parameters, and we don't have any animations. Hello? Because this is how I start. For my avatars, they start out with nothing. And there's a reason why I'm deleting everything. So go away. Tools? Nope. AV3 Creator. Come up here, AV3 Creator, Advanced Toggle Creator. It pops up. I keep it over here. Put it wherever you want. It's going to ask you for your avatar descriptor, which in the last video I did show you guys how to add that. We haven't like filled it out or anything. That's something I'll cover whenever we do facial expressions next week. If you don't have it, just add component and type in descriptor. It'll pop up there. You just need to add that to your avatar. You don't have to mess with the viewpoint. You don't have to adjust the eye look or the lip sync. You don't have to have any of that set up quite yet for this to work. So we will fix all of that next week whenever we start focusing on facial expressions. So as long as you have your descriptor added, you can do autofill or you can drag it, whatever. It's going to pop up and it's going to be like, oh, your avatar doesn't have an FX or parameters or maybe it doesn't have anything to make toggles. So you can just autofix. And it makes it for you. Hold on. Where is it? Toggles. It makes a toggles folder for you. Makes the menu and parameters. Makes a layers folder and it keeps the FX in there. And then you can make a folder for animations if you want. And you can tell it to stick it in there. Or you can drag and drop it in there. It makes everything for you. And that's why I wanted to delete it all beforehand. So you don't have to sit here and search and like go to hands layer and like you don't have to do none of that. So this is how it starts off. So I'm going to go with some of the, I guess like more basic tutorials. And then we're going to go over the like either or. So like we'll do the same thing in the past tutorial. We'll do like bikini versus bodysuit. And then we'll go from there. So anyways, we're going to start with add menu. So this is the menu that it's going to be parented to. So if you want it to just be like the one of the first things that you pop up, you'll put it on main menu. I want this to be under accessories because I'm going to do like her collar and her glasses, things like that. So I'm going to click plus. I'm going to name my new menu accessories. Parent on the main menu. So whenever you open up your toggles, it's going to be one of those sub menus that says accessories, and then you'll go in there and you can get it just to keep it organized. Save in. So this is where it's going to save the animation. So I'm going to tell it to save in there and create. So now it's got the menu, right? So new toggle. Let's do her glasses to try to keep it relative to the last tutorial. So you'll name your toggle glasses. It is a bool, just like before. So you want to come down here to modules, go to add modules, and toggle objects. As you can see, you can set up the material, swap, the polynomial dissolve, blend shapes, tons of stuff you can do with this add-on, but I'm just going to be focusing on toggling for now. So toggle objects, add. So we're telling it we want to toggle objects. Now it needs a game object, all right? So go away. Glasses. Drag that in there. Here's where things get a little tricky. I'm not going to lie. Here's where I struggle a little bit because I don't fully understand fancy things in Unity. I believe if we want it to default on, which I do, we don't touch default state. Right, just leave that blank. We're going to say disable when toggled. So it's already reading that the glasses are currently toggled on, and whenever we play the animation, we want it to disable. I'm still learning what the default state option does. Even in Killing Jerk's tutorial, at one point, he check marks default state, and then it didn't do what he wanted to at default, so then he had to go back and uncheck it, and vice versa. So if we get it wrong in this tutorial, it's not a big deal. I can show you how to fix it. It's just changing the true false part on the animations. But if I have it correct, we don't touch it even though the glasses are defaulting on. I believe that's going to tell it to default with them off because we're telling it to disable when this animation's playing. So we're going to leave it as is. Glasses disable when toggled because we want them to default on. So we're going to leave that. So that's how we're going to set those on. That's going to make the on-off toggle. That's literally it. All right, that's all we have to do for the glasses, right? So just for sake, let's do color, modules, toggle objects, add, and color. Okay. So, you can keep building up that menu. So now I want to do the either or for her clothing. So I'm actually going to make it a second menu. And that's the great thing about this add-on is I don't have to do it per menu. I don't have to sit here and say create toggles and then do it all over again for the next one. I can keep going. That's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to click add menu and start another menu, right? Clothing. Animations. Save. Okay, so now we have our clothing one, and we're going to name this tops. Well, she doesn't really have any bottoms. Well, she doesn't really have any bottoms because the bodysuit and the bikini both cover everything. So let's just name this clothing instead. Clothes. So that's different. So I'm actually going to set this to a float. This is how I set up my radial toggles to do an either or. You can do it with bool, I believe, but just have it as a normal toggle to where you would say bodysuit bikini, and it would and you would just change the disable when stuff. But that's also where this parameter drivers and stuff comes into play. This is all when it gets a little advanced, and it's again still stuff that's something I'm still trying to learn with this. If you want it to be a bool to where you have two different toggles on your menu, one says bodysuit, one says bikini, and to where whenever you hit the bodysuit, bikini goes off and vice versa. If you want to do that, Rafa has some tutorials in their server, which is pulled up on the, did I already close it? Yeah, I already closed it. On the page where you go to download this thing, you can join their server. They have some tutorials there as far as how to do that. I would recommend going and checking there because it's something I'm not super comfortable with, so I'm not going to cover that today. I'm going to focus on radial toggles because that's what I'm familiar with. So it still works the same. It just won't be two different ones. It's just going to be one that's on a radial and go from there. So for her, I actually want it to be bodysuit or the bikini or no, I want that separate. So I'm going to leave the harness to be separate. I'll go back through and I'm going to add it to accessories because that'll stack over the bodysuit or the bikini. So, but for the main clothing, I want it to be either one or completely nothing on there. YouTube, don't yell at me. I'm not going to. So anyway, so for that to happen, you can't really tell it to have two meshes off at the same time. So what we're going to need to do is come in here. We're going to right click. We're going to click create empty. Rename it. We're going to say no clothing. Okay. I'm going to assign that to my avatar. And then I'm going to click bodysuit, control click bikini, and then duplicate. Control D to duplicate. Okay. I'm dragging those under the empty that I just created. In inspector, I'm making sure both of them are off. So both of them are unchecked marked. All right. So this technically doesn't do anything because we have its original meshes are on. But what that's going to do whenever we go to make our toggles is we can say bikini bodysuit or turn this option on. And since those are the same mesh technically, it would take them both off. So that's how you can set that up. So for clothing, again, it's all radial, so we're changing it to float. Still toggle objects, so we're going to do add. Now, here's where whenever you're wanting to do multiple different things, so we have 3 things that we're wanting to do. Bikini, bodysuit, and nothing. So for a float, for this specific type, we did toggle objects. You can see we have none game objects. So we have 1 spot. We're going to click add new option. Okay. That's 0 to 100. Still 1 spot, right? 2 spots, 3 spots. So there's 3 different percentages now that on that radial, whenever the toggle or the stick is anywhere between 0 to 33% on the circle, it's going to be 1. 33 to 66, it's going to be 2. 66 to 100 will go on that 3rd option. Right? So we don't need anything here for now. We're going to go bikini. Okay, well, I guess I should have said. So we have the 3 options, but this is still for the 1 mesh. So you need to do add. You need to do bodysuit. 1, 2, 3. And then add no clothing. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I'm going to pause right here, let you get a good look at it because this threw me off when I first started. So it's toggle objects, and then there's 1 that says remove, 2 that says remove, 3 that says remove. So there are 3 different options, but we have to add 3 percentages under each one, and then we're going to assign them. So I want the bikini to be the default. So for 0%, I want bikini. So I'm going to check mark it. Okay. And ignore that it says bikini underneath it. It's fine. Then the next option I want it to be is bodysuit. So I'm going to mark that for 33 to 66. And then if you go all the way around, I want it to be nothing. So what that's doing is it's telling for this on the menu clothing, for the clothes radial toggle, there are 3 options and we're assigning them to each percentage. So that on that radial, it'll go bikini, bodysuit, no clothing as they circle the stick around. And that's how you can set up multiple things. Versus up here with like the glasses and collar, we only had to do one thing and just tell it disable or enable, right? So yeah, versus if you're wanting it to be like either or, and especially if you're wanting to do radial toggles, then you have to set it up like this. Okay? I'm trying not to go too fast, but I know I talk fast sometimes. So the next thing I want to do is mat swaps. So I don't really have everything prepared for what I actually want her to be. So we're just gonna make some like oh, I was in the right spot. We're gonna make some like fake ones for now. So purple. Oh, that still dissolve. No. Purple. Alright. So I'm going to, I don't have all the extra like boot textures and stuff imported. And I'm gonna do like a tattoo swap and stuff on her, I think maybe, but just for, you know, the example, let's say I want to change out her bikini to have 3 different colors. Okay, so I've made my 3 different colors. So make sure you have your materials ready. Coming back in here, I'm going to do add menu. Do plus sign. I'm going to say color options. And this could work for like hair colors, which is something I'll probably end up doing. It could be for her tail, it could be for her boots, it could be for anything that you want. I'm going to assign it to the main menu. I'm assigning it to animations. Create. Bikini matte swap. I am marking this as tutorial just for myself so that I know to delete it later because it's not something I actually want on the final avatar. I'm going to end up doing a hue shift for her. Actually, never mind. I'll end up keeping it. Okay. Anyway, name it what you want. It's still a float. Come to modules, and instead of toggle objects, you go to material swap and add. So now this one, we need a source. So we need to know what we're going to be doing the material swap on. So for right now, it's the bikini. Okay. You see it popped up bikini materials. So we have on that bikini, we have the leather and we have those little metal bits. We aren't messing with the metal. We're just messing with the leather. So we're going to click plus on that. Now this is going to act the exact same way as the clothing. So it's going to go off of the radial as far as percentages. So for the sake of the tutorial, this is something I'm going to end up redoing later. Oh, there we go. Oh, I lost the button for a second. I was like, where did it go? So for the sake of the tutorial, there's 3 things, right? So we have the first leather, the second leather, and then the third. So it's the same thing. So the source for the bikini, except now we don't have to like assign it because this is a material swap. It's not a toggle. So for the bikini, it understands that whenever we turn on the matte swap, it's only going to change the leather and it's going to change it between these 3 materials. Okay. And you know that it's only affecting the leather one because the plus sign is grayed out. Now, if we wanted to change the metal, then you would do that and do the same thing. Okay, so that is how you do on-off, multiple different clothing options on a radial, and multiple matte swaps on a radial. Okay, there, like I said, I don't have the auto hue creator on my version, so you can always look up a tutorial or go into Rafa server to learn how to do that if you got the advanced version. So now that we have everything set up, I'm going to click create toggles. It's going to ask, do you really want to do it? You say yes. It'll sit here and it'll do its little thing. Okay. Now sometimes if you go to like change something and like let's say we wanted to change out the materials for the bikini one, if you have this check marked, this overwrite option, then you're good. It won't duplicate things. It'll overwrite the one animation for it that it already created. If you don't have that checked marked, it will create duplicates. So if you're wanting to like test out different ones and like see which one you want, that can be a great thing to have. But if you're just wanting to genuinely like only work on one animation, make sure you have that overwrite checked marked. And it does lock, if I'm not mistaken, your materials. No? Okay, I thought I locked in the materials. Sometimes, and maybe it's for a different option, or maybe it's when I've done something different. After I've done it, it'll say like, you need to lock your materials or you need to unlock your materials, and you can tell it to do whatever. So now we're going to go ahead and go into play mode and we're going to test. Now, if you've noticed, I haven't technically assigned an FX or a main menu or parameters or anything else that we had to do in the other material or in the other toggle video. But that's because with this auto thing, it already did it for me. So come back into play mode and we can start testing her, right? So her glasses defaulted on, her collar defaulted on, which is exactly what we wanted. Come in here, take those off, take that off. Perfect. Clothing, clothes, radial. I'll like zoom in and like hide. So as you can see, we have the bikini, we have the bodysuit, and then if we go even further, she don't have any clothing on. So that's why, as you can see over here, it hid both of those and it went to the no clothing option. It turns, because that's what it's understanding, turns off each one that's not in its section and go for the next thing. So even though those are technically duplicated, it's reading this as its own mesh, and that quote-unquote mesh is telling it to have both of those off. So that's how we set up the clothing. So that's good. Back. Color options. Bikini matte swap. Black, red, purple. Ta-da! And that's it. Look at that. The last video to do all of these was 45 minutes. Saved yourself 20 minutes so far. I cannot recommend this add-on enough. It is an absolute lifesaver. I'm going to go through off recording off screen and set up her materials, finish off her fizz bones, and do some proper matte swaps and stuff for how I want the avatar. But for the sake of the tutorial, that's it. You know, that's what you have to do. And it's literally all that goes into making tutorials with this add-on. So if you have it and you want to know how, then there you go. And like I said, if you want to learn how to do like normal bool either ors, or if you want to do dissolve toggles, since that one is just a like snap toggle, I definitely recommend joining Rafa's server and checking out Killing Jerk's tutorials on his YouTube channel as well. They can tell you the more advanced stuff. There's obviously quite a lot of really cool advanced things that you can do with this add-on that I'm not super familiar with yet, but that's how you make your basic toggles using the AV3 Creator. And I love it so much. So that's pretty much it for this series for this week. Here in just a minute, I'm going to be recording a tutorial for how to make idle like tail wags and like ear twitches. If you are interested in that video should also be up as well. Other than that, if you are following along with the series, then next week I should be fully caught up with you guys. I'm going to work on her a little bit and get her finished off for how I'm ready for her to be. Next week we will kind of start wrapping up the avatar. We'll do our facial expressions, get those recorded. We will set up the descriptor properly, and then that should be pretty much it for a basic avatar. Again, there are so many things that you can do with avatars. You can add particles, you can add contact animations, you could add spring joints, markers. There's tons and tons of stuff you can do. So my tutorial series isn't going to be covering any of that, since I am wanting this series to be for the beginners of beginners. Very, very simple tutorial. But those tutorials are out there if you want to check out other creators' channels. At some point I might make the tutorials myself. If you would like to request a tutorial, please let me know down below. And I'm trying to do a tutorial for everybody that requests one. I'm trying to make sure that I'm completing that video. It might not be the very next week after you request it, but I will do my best. So if you want to request a tutorial, let me know in the comments, or join my server and let me know there. Other than that, next week pretty much should be finishing off the avatar. We might take one more week after that. So either next week or the week after, we should be finishing up, because we just need to do our facial expressions. And then I also want to make a video for using the pumpkins tool. So if you need to fix like some weight painting, or you want to add something to her, if you need to take your avatar out of Unity, put it back into Blender to do some changes, then using pumpkins is a free tool, and it's how you can put everything back into Unity without having to reassign all the toggles and the fizz bones and all that stuff. So I'm going to try to get all of that out for you guys next week, so that the series will be wrapping up right about then. Other than that, like I said, let me know if you have any other recommendations or any requests for tutorials. And I hope you have a wonderful week creating your toggles. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My Discord server is the best way to reach me. I'll be more than happy to help you as much as I can. I think that's it. So have a great week, and I will see you guys next week.